Ladies and gentlemen, random people at the bar, welcome to Little Indies Tonight. You are here whether you realized it or not when you came in for Loose Lips. Give it up, y'all, for Loose Lips. That's what I do. I'm here to elicit applause for no reason. You've got about an hour of that. My name is Todd. I host What This Is, and What This is a literary night with a little bit of a difference. How many of you have not been here before to one of our things? Eric? Okay, I'll explain slowly for the man in the back. So what we do here is a reading. It's a reading where people read words, they talk, unaccompanied by music. Don't be afraid. I've got 5 of the best writers in Orlando, and I've given them a writing assignment because I'm jealous of their talent, and I hate them. What I make them do is pay attention to the news. It's the worst thing I can think of to do. And after they've done that, they channel that in through their creative gamma rays that they emit, and they write a story about it. So they can read about 10, 15 minutes of whatever they want. The stipulation is it has to be based on something that happened in the news sometime in the month of February. So it's sort of Daily Show meets Orlando Lit is my elevator pitch. I'm really excited about our lineup this time around. I'm more excited about our lineup than the actual news that they had to work with in February. I mean, what happened in February? Random things. We had, we had the immigration ban that didn't quite work. Donald Trump acted like an adult for one day. One day, maybe even more than 24 hours. Did he last like the whole day before the wiretap thing came out? It was like 1 day and 2 hours or something like that, or? No, just 2 hours. It was just 2 hours. That was it. He got to bask in the glory of the media, who thought he was a human for that long. They even fucked up the Oscars this last time around. I guess a bunch of good Prince songs came on Spotify, so that was nice. I was listening to Dance Music, Sex, Romance in the car. It doesn't prepare you well for a literary night, but that's what I was doing. So just so you know what I had to sacrifice to get up here. So before I bring up our writers, I do have an appetizer. And I will preface by saying this is badly timed. The New York Times had an article in the paper sort of lambasting itself for rampant sexism against Kellyanne Conway. So I guess I should say that I'm about to be sexist about Kellyanne Conway. Kellyanne, my Kellyanne, I am waiting in the wings for you. When the boom mic has turned away shyly from your lips, and the liberal media crawls like beggar children to assemble some shrine from the scraps of your words, I will be there. In the dreams, I am holding a clipboard. You are clear, I say, into the silence between your text alerts, and your glance lingers, just as it did on the last donut in the break room. Kellyanne, my Kellyanne, it is cheat day. Put your feet up on my couch. In this bedroom, nothing is true. Everything is permitted. Let me pull your perm straight as you suggest, deny, insinuate. Take my measure and inflate my numbers. Take me to the edge of ecstasy and flip the script. Tell me what the real story is. Demand that I investigate the proper briefs. Look a little more deeply into your bowling green. Kellyanne, my Kellyanne, you don't have to call me after. We both know you can define things any way you please. If I wanted the uncomfortable truth, I'd settle down with a nice girl and worry about the future. Tonight, I want you to distract me, to make me feel great again. Tonight, I want to be the lie you cover up. Thank you. So I'm going to go shower after that. And I'm going to bring up the first of our readers while I do that. First-time reader at Loose Lips. Let's give it up for this guy, even though you don't know who he is yet. That was tepid. So the first time I saw this guy read, heard his stuff, he was doing it in the most badass fashion possible. I won't give you the details. I will just say that we all had to. We were in a slam competition where we had to read poems after doing shots of hot sauce, like really hot sauce. And he had drunk, what was it, 5? Was it all 5? It was 4. 4 shots of hot sauce, and the guy just stood there like, he might have had to pee, maybe. That's the most I got out of the expression on his face. To cap it all off, it was actually really good. So I'm here to find out what he sounds like when he's not about to breathe fire. You can read his writing without actually seeing him read it in Ghost Parachute. What else is coming up? I don't have my... Writing Disorder, one of his more long-form pieces coming up. Later this month. Holy shit. So basically, this guy is using his time more constructively than I am already. Give it up for Josh Dull, everybody.
Evening, everyone. So, my current event was basically last month, Donald Trump decided to grace the Melbourne International Airport with his presence, which is my hometown. Yep. I happened to be in Brevard County that weekend. I was actually in Palm Bay visiting some relatives, and for those of you who don't know, most of my relatives were Trump supporters. So I walk into my Aunt Carolyn's house, and everybody's sitting around the TV drinking their Yinglings and smoking cigarettes, just eyes glued to it. And they all know my opinions on the man. So it made for some very surreal conversations. Almost as surreal as this play by Samuel Beckett that I've been researching for a few months called Waiting for Godot. So I decided to do a little reimagining of it, if you will. So here it is. Waiting for Trump. Clayton and Chris sit on the bed of a beat-up F-150 parked next to a sable palm with aged dead fronds in Palm Bay, Florida. A full moon reflects off the windshield. Clayton takes a sip of his Keystone Light and wanders out a few steps, standing in the yellowed grass. Chris sits on the tailgate, struggling with a mud-covered boot. Fuck my dick, Chris says, jerking at the boot on his foot. Screw it. Chris lets his foot drop to the ground. Screw it, Clayton says, staring toward a starless sky. I tried to have hope in America. Told myself we'd win the war and keep Christ and Christmas. Just ain't getting better, though. Still got illegals coming over, immigrants bringing more terrorists. Now you got people here who want us taxpayers to pay for them. Would you quit bitching and come help me get my boot off? Where were you last night, Clayton asks. Passed out in that ditch over yonder. Did those guys beat you up? Hell yeah, they did. Kicked the ever-loving shit out of me, says Chris. Maybe if you didn't pass out in the ditch. So what the hell are we doing back out here tonight, asks Chris. You don't remember? We're waiting. For who, says Chris. For Trump. He's coming to speak at Melbourne International, then he's headed here. Well, what for? To start making America great, says Clayton. You mean great again? No, great. It was great sometime before we were born, so we'll be experiencing its greatness like it's something new. You sure he's coming here? Somewhere around here. Clayton takes a sip of his beer and walks close to the truck. Its primer paint job shows a grayish blue in the moon. Bits of metal and broken bottles mingle within the grass and mud beyond. Well, I'm bored off my ass, says Chris. Well, you got any music in here? Clayton sets his can of beer on the hood, then opens the driver's side door and leans in. Chris's iPod is dead, so he tries the radio. Only static. We're out of luck on music, says Clayton, as he leans back up out of the truck. Chris shifts his weight, causing the truck to bounce and to knock over Clayton's can of beer. Damn it, son of a bitch. Throw me another one, says Clayton. There ain't any more. Cooler's empty. Thanks, Obama, Clayton says under his breath. Got any dip, maybe? Chris asks. Clayton walks up next to Chris, seated on the tailgate. He fumbles in his hunter's green camo jacket. I got Skull or Copenhagen. I'll take some Cope, says Chris. Clayton hands him a can. He digs out the tar black tobacco and sticks a fingerful in his mouth, then promptly spits it out. That was Skull. Chris hands the can back to Clayton. My bad. Clayton hands Chris another can. Thanks, bro. Chris says with a lip full of chew, then hands a can back to Clayton, who hands him the other can, which Chris passes back to him. Then Clayton hands him the other can, which Chris passes back to him. Then Clayton hands him a can, which Chris hands back to him, but drops it. Ah, shit. He and Clayton both stare at the ground. Ain't nothing to be done. Sullen, cold breeze tingles the frills of dead palm fronds. Crickets chatter like the sound of static. Clayton walks behind the truck a few paces and takes a leak. Chris follows him and tries to kick him in the ass while he's pissing. Fuck off, dude, says Clayton. He turns around, zipping back up, and both guys look toward the road. Where is this fucking guy, Clayton says. Should have been here by now. Who should have been here by now? Trump, shit for brains. What if he doesn't come? Well, nothing goes back to the way it used to be. The libs come take our guns, the Muslims impose Sharia law upon the country and eradicate our American values, and all our jobs will go to robots, foreigners, and illegals. We might as well just kill ourselves. Bring a shotgun? We could blow our heads off right now, says Chris. Nah, mine got taken away. Taken away? Yeah, one of my mom's friends turned out to be a Democrat. Didn't know it till we had her over for dinner and later found all our guns missing. Well, shit on the shingle, says Chris. What if we hang ourselves in that palmetto? Clayton and Chris walk over to the palmetto and stare. Clayton puts his hand to his chin. Wouldn't sport our weight. Worth a shot, says Chris. It'd handle both of us, right? Probably not. Palmetto just ain't strong enough to hang two grown humans. KKK probably tried that already. I thought palmettos were bushes, says Chris. They're a tree, too, says Clayton. He paces between the crumbled asphalt road and the truck. He spit into the dirt and leaned against the tailgate where Chris joined him. This sucks. Let's at least go get more beer, says Chris. We can't. Why the hell not? Because we're waiting for Trump. He might come while we're gone and think we stood him up. Are you sure he's even real? Of course he's real, dipshit. He's speaking in Melbourne, then coming to meet us. Hope he's coming soon. I need to get these fucking boots off. Well, what's wrong with them? Got a rock stuck in my left one somewhere. They're both too tight on my feet. Well, Trump's going to bring jobs from overseas back to the American people. I'm sure he can bring you some new boots, too. Shit. Think he'll bring more beer? The hum of a distant motor catches their attention. Headlights come cruising down the road toward them. Oh, shit, it's the cops, says Chris. Relax, says Clayton. We're white. Both boys stand in full view of the oncoming headlights. Chris affixes a red Make America Great Again trucker cap on his head. The vehicle approaches and turns out to be a black Dodge Challenger bereft of any official markings. The passenger window rolls down. Clayton? A woman's voice calls. Jamie? Says Clayton. What are you idiots doing out here? She asks. Her arms hang out the window, a smoldering cigarette between her fingers. Chris tugs at Clayton's jacket. Who's this? Jamie, my cousin. That's probably Tucker driving. Hello, says Jamie. What are you guys doing out here? She leans out the window, black hair tied back in a loose bun. We're waiting for Trump. You're joking, right? No, he said he would meet us by this tree. You're either drunk or high. We ain't either, says Chris. We drank the last of the beer before y'all drove up. Got any more? Tucker, Jamie says to the driver. Think we should drink with these ass clowns? She nods her head and turns back to him. Yeah, we got beer. She exits the vehicle with Tucker, adorned in a button-down Harley-Davidson shirt. He opens the back door of the muscle car and pulls out a 12-pack of Rolling Rock. We'd have brought Yingling, but they endorsed Trump, Jamie says. Well, what's wrong with that? Don't need to point out the obvious. She took a beer from Tucker, who tossed a can to both Clayton and Chris. So you guys are sitting out here waiting for the President of the United States to come. Yeah, he said he would. Clayton leans against the tailgate. Jamie cocks an eyebrow at him. And what's he going to do when he gets here? We're going to start making America great. He's going to tell us how, Chris says. Clayton whacks him in the stomach. Tucker just grunts. Look, Trump has a plan. One he doesn't convey to most of the public because it's too complicated. There's the wall to stop immigration from Mexico, then the travel ban on the 7 predominantly Muslim nations. Then with our borders shut down and America is nice and isolated, we get to the thing I'm really interested in. The Task Force on Crime Reduction and Public Safety. Task Force? What are you, a cop? He didn't say you had to be. You just had to be dedicated to stopping illegal immigration and violent crime. Clayton opens his beer and most of it explodes all over him. You guys are dumber than a Ziploc bag of elephant cum. Let me guess, you voted for Hillary, didn't you? Chris chimes in. I voted for the candidate that was least likely to gut reproductive rights for women and marriage equality for homosexuals. Well, why the hell do you care about them gays? Said Chris. An iron-heavy silence follows. Tucker and Jamie glare at Chris. Clayton scratches the back of his neck and shuffles his feet. I guess Clayton neglected to tell you I'm a lesbian, said Jamie. Chris and Clayton just kind of blushed. Yeah, she likes women, Chris. Oh, I'm sorry. He puts his hands up and shifts his weight back on his feet. Tucker, says Clayton, you're awful quiet tonight. That's kind of rare. Tucker takes a sip of his beer and stares back at him. Jamie and Curtis look at him. He stares back. Chris walks up and snaps his fingers in Tucker's face. Tucker rips his red cap off and stomps it into the dust. What the hell, man? Says Chris. Yeah, dude, what's your deal? Clayton asks. Yeah, cuz, what's with you? Says Jamie. Tucker drains his beer, walks over to the truck, climbs into the bed and stands. I'll tell you what the deal is. You talk of America and how it was great once, and it'll be great again once you, representative of the working class American, meet with Donald Trump, a tycoon billionaire who was a simple negotiation away from naming almost all of Manhattan after himself, then Vegas, then South Beach, then possibly Dubai, Hong Kong, Marseille, Buenos Aires, and the entire world, because you think he actually cares about you, the average working class American drone. In your blindness, you are celebrating your part as an expendable cog in the elevation of one man's ego to create an empire that spans the Ottomans, and you think that somewhere in that tower of white supremacist Babel, the precious, albeit imaginary, heart of American values you worship more than its God will not only survive, but thrive. You call yourselves Christians and patriots, yet make your saints out of serpent-tongued Pharisees and billionaires, people whose gross buying power could sell you into slavery many times over. Yet you feel safe behind the invisible cloak of your skin color and your 1 or 2 black, Mexican, Jewish, Muslim, or gay friends to protect you even from the label of bigotry and the level of social marginalization that would crush so many under the thumb of real oppression and relegate others to the prison industrial complex and utter social destruction for the crimes of desperation and minor drug offenses. You who have colored the face of Satan brown and made his weapon of choice the AR-15 assault rifle in the Koran. You who want so badly to believe that a white messiah will be raised up among the ranks of the United States political system. That you will ignore the misogyny, the prejudice, the infidelity, and the catastrophic financial failures that would land the least of us in solitary confinement and social exile because he tells it like it is. He's an outsider and makes the same grandiose promises as his predecessor, just in your language. Yet you don't see the suffering, the death, the spray-painted hate symbols that... A full can of beer caroms off of Tucker's head, then rolls foaming into the grass. Enough already! Holy fuck! Chris yells at him. I have no idea what you just said. Tucker jumps off the tailgate, and both Clayton and Jamie hold the two back from punching each other. Jamie pushes Tucker towards the car. Come on, man, let's lose these jokers, she says. Clayt, hit us up when you're among more enlightened company. They retreat back into the car. Later, boners, Jamie yells out the window as the Challenger speeds away. Dust and the smell of carbon remain in the silence. Chris brushes off his jeans. At least they left us some beer. Chris cracks open a can. They've sure changed. I don't remember them being such libtards. Everyone changes, says Clayton. Except us, it seems. Ah, shit, says Chris. I gotta do something about these boots. Got a rock in the other one now. He hobbles off into the wilderness. Clayton sits back on the tailgate trying to find stars, when another pair of headlights comes speeding out of the darkness. He approaches the road as a black town car pulls to a stop. A woman in professional attire steps out. Mr. Clayton Solomon? Yeah, that's me. I bring a message on behalf of Mr. Donald Trump. He regrets to inform you he will not be able to meet with you today. He was very tired after his speech at the airport and decided to unwind back at his estate in Mar-a-Lago. But he said he will surely see you tomorrow. Same time, same place. So he's not coming, Chris returned from the wilds. There's a shocker. He will come tomorrow at the predetermined time. Good day to both of you. The woman re-enters the vehicle and it speeds away into the empty grassland. Shit. Clayton kicks at the dust. Well, nothing to do but wait some more. I reckon if he don't show tomorrow, we might as well bite the big one, says Chris. That sounds about right, says Clayton. But if he shows up, we join the task force and begin the battle to win back our great country. And if he don't show, then we continue our downward spiral on into entropy and extinction. The world will burn in an all-consuming fire, and all will turn to darkness. Hope will burn with the last embers of civilization. Clayton stares up toward the sky, smeared by light pollution and the full moon. Chris sits back on the tailgate of the truck. Both boys drink the entire case of Rolling Rock and pass out in the bed of the truck as the sun begins climbing over the power lines and palmettos.
You're shell-shocked or drunk? I can't tell. Our next reader is one I've been trying to get here for a while. She got a journalism degree from University of South Florida, co-founded a literary magazine, Black Fox Literary Magazine, is head honcho of the Writers Atelier. All this has not quashed her faith in humanity. So I was pretty confident that this writing assignment wouldn't do it. But things are going so well already. Let's give it a shot, shall we? Please welcome Racquel Henry.
Thank you, Todd. Thanks for inviting me. And thank you, everybody who came out tonight. I have two new poems, but I also have a flash fiction piece that sort of fits with the theme of this. I'm very big on immigration, being that I am an immigrant myself. My parents came to the U.S. from Trinidad just when I was 2. And I think with everything that's been going on, I was reading all the headlines about immigration. Those are the ones that sort of catch my attention the most. And I don't think people understand how incredibly hard it is to become legal in the United States. It's one thing to just say, go ahead and just, file the paperwork and, just get legal. It's not that easy. I took my family 18 years to become green card holders. So it's not as easy as one would hope. So this first piece, all of the pieces I'm going to read tonight are inspired by immigration. And this first piece is a flash fiction piece called Stuck. I apologize if you've heard it. But it's sort of near and dear to my heart, not to sound cliche. In his eyes, I see nothing. I had thought that I would by now. We are sitting in the same diner we always sit in when we eat out, ordering the same burger with the same fries and the same Coke. Bernard orders for me because he says that is what American men do. I have always wanted to try the barbecue chicken sandwich, but I never say anything. I watch other people lick the barbecue sauce off their fingers instead. That's how I know the sandwich is good. That will have to be enough for now. In the diner, there are always happy people, laughing and touching each other like they really enjoy the company. I try and remember the last time I laughed, the last time I really enjoyed touching someone or being touched. I have never felt that with Bernard. His touch is uncomfortable, and whenever he touches me, I feel a little bit of me deteriorate. Eventually, I will be nothing, but I'm not allowed to resist him. I wanted to come to America because I wanted to be like the people in those romantic perfume ads seen in fancy magazines. I wanted the passion in those ads. I wanted love. Bernard agreed to marry me so that I could get my green card. He had promised me that life would be full of the passion I saw in the magazines. He had promised that if I didn't fall in love with him, I could serve my time with him until my legal status was solidified, and then he would set me free. That was 7 years ago today. He brings me to this diner and tells me to wear a skirt instead of jeans because we are celebrating our anniversary. I looked up anniversary in a dictionary the other day just because, and it means the annual recurrence of a date marking a notable event. I guess our arrangement is notable to him. The waitress brings our food to the table, and before she can put the plate down, Bernard is reaching for his burger. The waitress looks shocked. She gives him a disgusted look and walks away. He doesn't notice. He is too busy eating and making noises with his mouth. "This burger never gets old," he says, his mouth still full. I give a half smile and then take a bite of mine. I'm not hungry, but if I don't eat, Bernard won't be happy with me. He doesn't like it when I don't eat. He likes me round and chunky, and if I don't eat, I won't be able to stay that way. When he eats, I eat. That's one of his rules. When we finish, the waitress comes back to take our plates, and Bernard orders the killer chocolate cake, a slice for each of us. He tells her we are celebrating 7 years of being together. She smiles and looks my way. There's a softness in her glance, but I can tell it's mostly pity. When the slices of cake come, Bernard takes my hand into his sweaty hands and kisses them with his greasy lips. He tells me how much he loves the fact that I'm his wife. He tells me that he has enjoyed his time with me. He never tells me that he loves me, and I don't mind, because I wouldn't know what to say if he did. He thanks me for staying. I say, "You're welcome." All the while, I'm thinking how I could go back to my country, how I could walk away and go back to my old life. Bernard makes it a point to remind me often that I haven't received my green card yet, that the government would throw me in jail if I ever tried to leave him. I look out the window and think how it is too late for me, how stuck I really am. And so this next poem is called Heartbreak. Thank you. Thank you. This is called Heartbreak for the Hearts Broken in 2016. Actually, it was initially written as a heartbreak poem, but then after the news of the election and all that, I realized this is sort of how I feel, and even hearing the stuff about the immigration bans and stuff, my heart sort of feels broken, so it can sort of translate. So today I want to forget everything. I want to pretend the world isn't happening. Today, I wish I could crumple goals into balls like paper and dump them down the garbage disposal. Today, I don't want to see the silver lining. I want to stay curled in bed with my scraped up ego, soothing it and whispering, "It's okay to take a break if you're tired. It's okay to let it sting." And then this last one, is called For Immigrants. And I read a headline last month about a museum. I think it was called the Davis Museum at Wesleyan College, who they are taking out all the art of immigrants, and they are also all the art that was there from immigrants that were done by immigrants, but also the ones that were donated by immigrants, to make a statement that even in the art world, immigrants have an impact, right? So that poem is what inspired that article is what's inspired this next poem. For the Immigrants. I dreamt about the Orlando Museum of Art last night, but it was empty. The walls were blank, white, sterile, wiped clean, and it was as if someone had shaken an angry fist, called for the erasing of genius and history. I wondered how you could have a museum with no art, how I could be standing in a room where everything looked the same but different. It made me think about the rest of the world, how different but the same it looked after November 8th, 2016. It was the same world I had always been looking at. The same Tuesdays had passed me by 52 times each year for the last 30 years. But now that home had been split open, now that truth burned red, I don't know how to be myself again. Thank you.
I was just about to say there's not a lot of people that I would do this with, but let's be honest, I would do this with anybody. I talked with this guy over beers for 3 hours about Star Wars, but it was for work. It was for work purposes this time. He runs a podcast called The Drunken Odyssey, and more relevant coming up, he is also the honcho of an event called Litlando, which you should all know about. Anybody? Litlando? People who are going to be at Litlando? This whole room. Oh, good. You've made your money back. Outstanding. Litlando is March 25th, and you should absolutely get on it. It's sort of a, how shall I describe? If you are interested in writing words better and not being bored while you learn how to do it, pay the fee, go listen to the people talk. I'm actually doing a panel on how to talk better and say words into a microphone. I'm such a good salesman today. I will let him do the rest of it. Please welcome to the stage John King, everybody.
Yeah, so Litlando, Ryan Rivas came up with this. It's the equivalent of an MFA for the frugal and possibly deranged. So, tickets are $25 and $15 for students. And my mother's making whoopie pies. They're authentic. It's worth it just for... the Gallery at Avalon Island, March 25th. All right, so... I think I have a relatively sedate piece to read called Observations on Clowns and Trolls. We live in what future historians will surely call the era of deep shit. Frederick Jameson called it late capitalism, for what it's worth. For the last 7 years, our nation has been experimenting with the bizarre notion that access to health care just might be a human right, at the same time that we've been considering that the amount of lead in the drinking water of our citizenry is mostly a frivolous detail. Well, children may get cancer before their adolescence, but at least they can sort of be treated by doctors, and insurance companies and pharmaceutical companies will grow richer through profiteering in the war on Americans, the way God intended when he made the USA so exceptional. And yet in these calamitous times, for reasons I don't entirely understand, I'm worried about Cheetos as a brand. Cheetos is a subsidiary of Frito-Lay, which is a subsidiary of PepsiCo. In other words, the brand has deep backing that has itself deep backing, and it happens to be a year younger than our would-be tyrant number 45 himself. It's much better situated in the world than I am, yet I worry on its semiotic behalf, and I don't even like Cheetos. What do these facts mean? What do these facts mean? I'll be fucked if I know. Except maybe I'm trying to observe the disintegration of my own mind with some degree of precision. So I'm going to get to a current event over the last month, but before I do that, I need to talk, obviously, about Shakespeare. So last month, just a few miles from this house of booze, I saw Orlando Shakespeare Theater's production of Love's Labour's Lost, which was fucking great. Go see it. There are two plots in L Cubed. Plot one is that four male friends swear to live in a bubble without women, drink, meat eating, or enough sleep in order to devote themselves to study. All right. One of the gentlemen is the king, who outlaws fraternization between men and women for the kingdom. One of his friends, Baron, reluctantly agrees to this pact, although he sees, with cynical clarity, that the others don't. How absurdly impossible this plan is. Plot 2 features a love triangle between the Spanish nobleman, Don Adriano de Armado, the beautiful Jaconetta, and a local hyperactive ne'er-do-well named Costard. Costard is sort of the lowbrow version of Baron. Despite the prohibition against men talking to women, Costard has wasted no time in bedding Jaconetta and responds to every inquiry and accusation with riddles and double entendres that mock the very foundations of law with which the king and Don Armado are trying to govern human passions. Costard, however, is not technically a clown. Clownish? Yeah, but not a clown. Clowns get away with their humor by their convictions, by their existing outside of social class, by their nefarious ability to trick people into contemplating the truth. Clowns may be roguish, clowns may be anarchic, but they are not selfish. Clowns are fucking punk rock. If you think about Hamlet, Hamlet never really mourns his father, although he is technically upset that he wasn't a better son, and that he didn't feel more torn up about his father. The prince's grief is narcissistic. He feels much more strongly about his mother's having had a sexual partner, presumably because that partner wasn't himself. But when he's holding the skull of Yorick, the jester, Hamlet truly mourns. If Yorick were alive, maybe tragedy in Denmark could have been avoided. With enough humility, perhaps humans won't murder each other. Maybe. Maybe they could laugh at themselves. Shakespeare doesn't have many true clowns in his plays, but one of them is Feste in Twelfth Night. Feste can persuade Olivia to find some solace in mourning her dead brother by outrageously tricking her into actually believing in her religious faith. And sure, Feste takes things too far in torturing the head butler, Malvolio, and trying to gaslight him beyond his breaking point. Feste fessed up to going too far with that one. He fucked up slightly, in that by breaking the order of Livia's house, he broke a human being permanently. Yorick, though, is more well-known than Feste, despite the fact that we never get to see any of his infinite jests. Human absurdity requires jests to avoid hardening into evil, perhaps. We must be alert and alive to our desires, these absurdities of ourselves. Which brings me to a dangerous faggot, as Milo Yiannopoulos has giddily described himself. He has also relished in his role as an internet troll. As a journalist for Breitbart News, excuse that phrase, journalist for Breitbart News. His reportage led to the Gamergate controversy, in which women in the video game industry were harassed and doxxed over suspicions that their motivations and behavior in the industry were not pure, and that the journalism devoted to video games was compromised. The major accusation came from the ex-lover of video game developer Zoe Quinn. Hell hath no fury like a man scorned, apparently. What a cuck. Milo was banned from Twitter after his abusive trolling of Leslie Jones, in which he doubted her literacy and status as a woman. More recently, he went on his dangerous faggot tour of college campuses, with riots ensuing involving some cancellations after several incidents in which he outed trans students for ridicule, for judging them for being confused about their sexuality. Milo is a gay right-wing Catholic who has called Donald Trump daddy. 2 weeks ago, he appeared on Real Time with Bill Maher. I guess it was kind of refreshing to finally witness Milo Yiannopoulos in action rather than through reportage. Not refreshing in an actual, direct, actually good way, but as a way of deflating what I thought of him. To call him a mixture of Dame Edna and Triumph the comic insult dog would be an insult to Dame Edna and Triumph. What he has going for him is that he's quick. He throws a lot of jabs, unfunny ones, nasty jokes that seem like something out of the mid-1970s on a totally average comedy stage. Bill Maher had him on because Maher is a champion of free speech, and the idea of not talking to someone controversial because that someone is controversial seemed undemocratic to him. Besides making fun of gay people for their laziness, as in, what the fuck, dude, the flamboyantly gay Milo Yiannopoulos said that all I care about is free speech and free expression. Bill Maher said, I also care about health and the environment. Bill Maher, for all of his abundant flaws, cares about the truth. Milo does not. Milo Yiannopoulos sees himself, or saw himself, as a satirist, which is not normally a part of the journalistic ethos. I'm right about that, Todd, right? You're not supposed to just slide into satire while reporting? Lines are blurry. To ridicule, yeah. Unless MY was ironically trolling the political right, then he doesn't understand what satire means. To ridicule vice and folly, as one sees it, is fine, so long as one understands that one becomes socially outcast from doing so, and that one understands that one's vice and follies are then available for the world to ridicule back. The egotism of the half-bright Milo means that he won't be funny except to exceptionally stupid people. His people. In Twelfth Night, Festi knew he went too far in attacking the man rather than the vice of the man's pride. His own egotism got in the way of being funny, of trying to restore order to his world. Yiannopoulos has been forced to admit that he made a big mistake, but not because he went too far and hurt someone. Milo doesn't care if he hurts people. He only cares about free speech and free expression. He only cares if people are feeding him with their attention. No, he went too far in praising the Catholic priest who molested him at 13, the priest who he credits for making him so good at giving head. He only went too far because his freedom of speech and freedom of expression finally hurt himself. Children used to love clowns before Pennywise. Think of Harpo Marx, because clowns, like children, eye the structures of power by which the adult world is run with profound skepticism. I learned that from El Doctorow. Too many people lie about their desires. Too many people side with power and sameness over the weak, including those who would otherwise be different or weak themselves, including those who pretend that authoritarian structures are more democratic than democracy. By melding ego to ego, by punching down, by thinking of nothing other than our freedoms and never our responsibilities. We deserve better clowns. Alas, poor Milo. No one really knew him well. Fuck him, Horatio. He wasn't funny.
So yeah, our last reader of the night. This makes me sad. I look forward to this night every month. March is going to be weird. I'm here to tell you. We have, next time around, this is as good a time as any to plug, Curtis Meyer is in the house. He will be here on April 4th. Give a hand for this guy. We're going to have him. We're going to have Tad McCullum. We're going to have a bunch of other folks. I kind of do this the same way I do every month, which means I don't have it halfway booked yet. But I do hope you come back. It's free. They have drinks. That should be enough, right? So it's always nice to see Darlyn. She has way too many bona fides to be here wasting her time with this. She's the author of Red Wax Rose. She's the author of, most recently, the bigly beautiful book of What Women Want. And that's not really a plug because she's about to read it to you. So there's no need for you to buy it. But that doesn't mean you can't purchase it for your Trump-supporting relatives as an April Fool's gift. So consider it. And definitely consider this lady, Darlyn Finch Kuhn. Give her a hand.
This is a picture book, so if you want to see the pictures, you might want to come closer. If you don't want to see them, you can look at them later or something like that, or buy it on Amazon.com. Are your parents' names Mr. and Mrs. Henry? Yes. Hello, Mr. and Mrs. Henry. We're glad you're here. We're glad you stuck it out. And we absolutely love and adore your daughter. She is a blessing to Orlando. Love you, love you. Okay. Brad and I were pretty sad at about 3 o'clock in the morning on November 9th. So we decided that satire was a good way to handle it. And when the march happened, we watched. It happened in Washington, D.C., and then we went downtown in Orlando and stomped around the lake with a bunch of our beautiful women from Orlando and the men who came out to support. And we went home and wrote a book. This is called The Bigly Beautiful Book of What Women Want. It's by D.J. Drumpf, and it's illustrated by N.O. Fox. The back reads, WTF do women want? The question has baffled men throughout the ages. Wonder no more. Nobody respects women more than D.J. Drumpf. He has taken a break from writing executive orders to take pen in tiny hand and spell it out for the rest of you losers. The Bigly Beautiful Book of What Women Want is full of his very best words on the subject in 140 characters or less. There's a man in Orlando named Joel Carroll who did these beautiful drawings. I don't know if you can see it, but this is DJ Drumpf, and there's a beautiful little white cat. She's the pussy who grabs back. She's wearing her little pink pussy hat, and her name is Snowflake. Why, yes. So we'll just get started with the wisdom of DJ Drumpf. This book is dedicated to the nasty women of the world. You know who you are, and you know what you really want. Women want affection. Kiss them before you say hello. Grab them by the privates if you're famous, and remember to use Tic Tacs first. Bad breath is disgusting. I don't know if you can see the pictures. I hope so. Joel Carroll did these. He's amazing. Women want a man who loves children. Talk about dating your daughter, and be sure to mention that sex is what you have in common. I feel like a second grade teacher. It's fun. Women want intimacy, so hover over them in voting booths and sneak up behind them at televised debates. He's pretty smart. Women want a guy who loves animals. Clever pet names like pig and dog will let them know exactly what kind of guy you are. Ranking their appearance on a scale from 1 to 10 also shows you've been thinking about them. Women want to be spoiled. I like to leave cash on the nightstand, but Russian girls now take bitcoins. Women want surprises. I like to surprise them when they're changing clothes, especially at beauty pageants. Women want understanding. Understand that if a woman asks you a difficult question, it's probably because there's blood coming out of her wherever, by which, of course, I meant her ears. Women want a hand to hold. My hands are about the same size as a woman's. Alt fact, women are known to have huge hands. Women want to know who's in charge, so remember to treat her like shit to keep her from becoming a nasty woman. That's Pooh Kitty. We love him. Women want freedom. That's why when it comes to wives, I practice catch and release. Now serving number 3. There's a diamond ring on the end of the fishing pole. You can't see it, but it's great. Women want mystery. So lie constantly and never let her see your tax returns. Women want security. I'm okay with that. If I don't keep them locked up, they tend to escape. Women want to laugh. I just wish they didn't do that so much when I'm naked. It hurts my feelings. Women want to feel appreciated. If I come home and dinner's not ready, I go through the roof. It lets them know you care. We had fun with how long his red tie is in all these pictures. Women want equal pay for equal work, which seems totally unfair. Sad. Women want a man with a generous heart. I spread my love around. My wives seem relieved. So that's it.
I know Joel Carroll. I interviewed that guy ways ago. He's a real comic book artist. And you made him draw Donald Trump naked. So you must not be friends, I guess, now? That's why I was standing back there. So yeah, we did this. It's done now. You all endured it. Thank you very much for sitting through this. I know it took a lot of alcohol. That's kind of the scheme we run here because that's what they sell. We're going to do it again next month, despite all this. And I'm always looking for new writers around here. I have a lot of really good ones coming up in the next few months, and I hope you will continue to join us. Lord knows, despite our best efforts, shitty news like this last month will continue to happen. So we might as well do something, right? Anyway, yeah, go home, get drunk, get laid. Good night. Thank you all very much.